Hi, I'm Demi Stevens, founder and CEO of Year of the Book Press and editor-in-chief of Self Pub Magazine. We're here in the studio today with author Thomas DiMaggio for a little bit of a person behind the author series. So tell us, where were you born, Tom?
I was born in Philadelphia, and my family moved to France when I was 6, and I lived there for 6 years.
So you grew up speaking French?
Yes, I'm going to a French school, and I have a very good memory for the most part, and I still remember how impressed the French people were with John Glenn's flight in Friendship 7. They also were great admirers of President Kennedy, and I was 6 years old the year the Berlin Wall went up, and I can still remember how everybody we knew was terrified because they thought it meant there was about to be a Soviet invasion of Western Europe. But then we moved back to the U.S. and lived in Decatur, Illinois for a time.
Did you ever speak English with a French accent?
No.
Oh, good.
No. I've had people tell me over the years, and I'm not conscious of it. They think they hear a hint of something in the way I speak, but I'm not conscious of it. But
New York, maybe?
I've gone to New York a lot. I've never lived in New York. But my family then moved to Ohio, and then after I went to Duke University in North Carolina, I settled in York, Pennsylvania, which is where I live now.
Did you have a career here in York?
Yes. I practiced law for some years, primarily civil law, and then I established...
Does that make you one of the bloodsuckers?
No. I was usually representing people that were in need of representation, and sad to say, I've only had 2 or 3 really wealthy clients in my life, certainly not enough to make a huge nest egg.
So you're defeating the stereotypes here.
Well, to be fair, most attorneys I know are not part of the stereotype. Most of them are doing work that in one way or the other really does need to be done. It's, as in anything else in life, it's the stinkers that get the publicity.
I have so many lawyer friends. I just have to send a shout out to all of you who are doing great work out there. Yes. I absolutely adore you, and I only make fun of it.
Yes.
Because you make fun of me too, and I've heard the stories. What led you to the idea of writing a book?
I simply, I described this in the foreword to the book. I have a friend in Muskegon, Michigan, who makes short YouTube videos about superheroes.
Okay.
And he was going to do one about Superboy, and it turned out it never got made, but I sent him a 5-page scenario, which covers, it was a very rough version at that point, but it covers basically the events in chapters 3 through 5 of my book. But after the video fell through, I looked at the scenario and I thought, this feels like the middle of something, and wouldn't it be interesting to explore the beginning and the end? And I sat down and began writing, and before I knew it, I had 320,000 words. Years ago, I should say in that vein, years ago I met Lady Antonia Fraser, who's written a number of great biographies of historical figures, and I asked her about her first book, which was a biography of Mary Queen of Scots. She said, I had just had my first baby. I put her in a basket at the foot of my chair. She was using one of the old-fashioned manual typewriters. Yeah. She said, I found out that the clickety-click of the keys had a calming effect on her. She said, it's amazing how quickly you get to 200,000 words when you have something that keeps your baby asleep. Yeah.
Now, do you have any other background and interest in creative arts?
Well, I've done a great deal of theater work in my life. I started that in my mid-teens. And in recent years, I've had some really great opportunities, which I was very grateful came my way. In 2014, I call it my annus mirabilis in the theater, I got to play Macbeth, Oscar Madison in The Odd Couple, and Harry Rote in Wait Until Dark, who's a psychotic murderer, back to back.
Uh-oh, my husband, now he should be worried.
And
psychotic murderer.
But I was really grateful for that. I love playing Oscar. I could have played that for 3 years. But I've also done some producing and directing. I produced a production of Mary Zimmerman's play Metamorphosis at the York Little Theater. And I've also directed a staged reading of George Bernard Shaw's You Never Can Tell, which is probably, if I had to pick my single all-time favorite play by any writer, that would be it. So the theater's been my main creative outlet until now. Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about the process of working at a book for grown-ups that has full-color illustrations.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting. Brett, the artist, Brett Griman, the artist who's done the work on this book, is really very savvy. And at the beginning, I was aiming him in a direction that I'm glad he didn't take, which was the kind of paintings that are almost photographically realistic. And if you take a look at
please.
If you take a look at these pictures here, you'll see that they're not comic strip art and they're not realistic. There's something different. And I think they're different in just the right way for the text of this book. And I was very happy with the style that he came up. And here's a picture of Superboy meeting President Obama, which happens near the end of the book. And but I think he's done a really wonderful job with this. And another thing about Brett's work that I really love, and this is true of the great painters that I love, is he loves brilliant use of color. And I really respond very strongly to that. Van Gogh and painters like that I love painters like that. So
can I dig in a little bit? Would it be okay to talk about why this Superman emblem is maybe not on the cover?
Well, yes. The huge fly in the ointment of the writing of this book has been the fact that DC Comics, which is owned by Time Warner, has refused to release the rights on their characters, which I suppose they have the right to do, but it hasn't made my life any easier. And I retained the services of an intellectual property attorney who told me that I must not use the famous chest emblem of Superboy/Man on the cover because you can't use it to induce people to come over and show interest in a book. You can use it inside the book because after they open the book, then presumably they're already interested. But I can't sell the book for profit, so whatever means of distribution I eventually choose, they're going to have to be free for the recipient, which is great for the recipient, not so much
for the author.
I'm actually hoping that enough interest will be created by the fan base and that enough people will read it that eventually, somebody in the corporate world may say that, basically there's gold in them thar hills, and they may decide to commercially produce it and persuade Time Warner to let loose on its hold on the characters. But I've had friends even that have asked me, couldn't you have devised a new superhero of your own creation? And the answer is no, not in this case, because the reader's awareness of what's going to happen later, that Superboy is going to become Superman and meet Lois Lane and everything else, is very much part of the story, because a good deal of the story is him wondering how he's going to marry, how he's going to have a career.
Oh.
And so without that subtext of the story, the book would lose a lot of its resonance.
So you're using, instead of backstory of the characters, actually sort of future story.
Well, no, it refers to, it is a backstory as to Superman. He decides in the book that when he turns 21, he's going to become Superman. And the book ends before that.
Well, those of us here in York County are dreaming of a breakout hit for you. I know you have to put this out as fan fiction, so we're rooting for the kind of just groundswell that followed E.L. James with her famous book that came out of fan fiction. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I can't wait to be there when Time Warner signs the contract.
Well, thank you so much, and from your mouth to God's ear.
There goes.
So.